Rating from the Better Business Bureau, AA from the BCA, gold and silver have been the family business for over 40 years. Call 800-345-4IRA for our free guide to Augusta Home Delivery Gold IRAs and discover how you can get up to $2,000 in silver free. If you can't hold it, do you really own it?
All right, I brought in high protein to help get us moving and help you feel more strength and energy in just 2 weeks. I'll take that.
Ensure high protein with 16 grams of protein and 4 grams of sugar. Ensure always be you.
The next era belongs to those who help ensure the next energy to power our dreams will be American energy. This is our era. This is America's energy era. Next Era Energy.
Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Do not go gentle into that good night.
I enjoy the fresher things in life. Fresh towels, fresh soaps, and of course, TripAdvisor's freshest, lowest prices. So, if you're anything like me, you'll want to check TripAdvisor. We now instantly compare prices from over 200 booking sites to find you the lowest price on the hotel you want. Go on, try something fresh. TripAdvisor, the latest reviews, the lowest prices.
Prudential asked these couples, how much money do you think you'll need in retirement? Then we found out how many years that money would last them.
How long do you think we'll keep...
You're gonna leave me back here at year 9? How did this happen?
It turned out a lot of people fell short of even the average length of retirement.
We have to think about not when we expect to live to, but when we could live to.
Let's plan for income that lasts all our years in retirement.
Prudential, bring your challenges.
Were you or a loved one diagnosed with mesothelioma? Call now. The only known cause for this cancer is asbestos exposure. Exposure decades ago in mills, factories, power plants, shipyards, or while working in the Navy, or as a plumber, electrician, plaster, or maintenance worker may have put you at risk. If you or a loved one was diagnosed with mesothelioma,
call Sokolov Law at 1-800-582-4651. 1-800-582-4651. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson.
Many thanks to Judge Andrew Napolitano. What a day.
Yes, unbelievable. Yesterday it was all Manafort and the indictments. Today it's all the terror activity in New York City.
Yeah. All right. Thanks to everybody for being here. We will, of course, be right back here tomorrow again at noon Eastern time. Now, here's Harris.
And we'll begin with a Fox News alert. Terror returns to New York City, and the suspect has pledged his allegiance to ISIS. This is Outnumbered Overtime. I'm Harris Faulkner. 8 people are dead, 12 injured, some in critical condition. A truck mowed down pedestrians on a busy Manhattan bicycle path yesterday afternoon, just blocks from Ground Zero. Witnesses say the attacker yelled Allahu Akbar before he was shot and captured by police. Here's a Manhattan chef who was leaving work.
2 gentlemen run over by the pickup truck.
And the noise you heard was the truck plowing?
No, a lot of females screaming. I mean, it's Halloween, but it was an eerie scream. Because there was one female that I saw near the body. She must have seen it actually happen because she just kept screaming, and it was
horrifying.
Yeah.
The NYPD says the suspect, who came to the United States from Uzbekistan in 2010, had been planning the attack for some time.
It appears that Mr. Saipov had been planning this for a number of weeks. He did this in the name of ISIS. He appears to have followed almost exactly to a T the instructions that ISIS has put out in its social media channels before, with instructions to their followers on how to carry out such an attack.
Let's go live now to Lower Manhattan, the anchor of America's Newsroom, Bill Hemmer. Bill?
Yeah, Harris, good afternoon. That last voice you heard there was John Miller. Works with the NYPD. We talk a lot about this city having the best of the best. John Miller's been on the trail of radical Islam for more than 20 years. He was a producer and reporter to ABC News before the next wrinkle in his career, which is working for the NYPD. He interviewed Osama bin Laden back in the late 1990s. When he speaks, Harris, he speaks with authority. I thought some of the best information from that whole briefing came from John Miller. Multiple knives, he confirms, inside that truck. A number of weeks. He was planning this, as we heard there, and followed it to a T for what ISIS had planned, something you can get online. It's as simple as that for those around the world who want to access the information. With regard to security here in New York City, it's changing. I'll tell you why in a moment here. But that area where he accessed along that bike trail did not have barricades, the place where he entered or the place where he exited. And right now they've admitted that's something they're looking at right now to reassess. He's never been a suspect. He's never been a subject of a police or FBI investigation before, but they stress that he will have connectivity to others who have been subjects based on investigations here in the past. They have visited more than 140 truck rental agencies over the past 2 years, and as of 2 weeks ago, they say they were in contact with some of them up to then. What they told them, how to be aware, what to recognize, we do not have specifics, Harris, but this is something people like John Miller have been on now when you go back to the attacks in Berlin, Germany, and Nice, France, and in London, England. The notes, handwritten in Arabic, as I mentioned, symbols and words on them, one of which includes a phrase about ISIS enduring forever. Harris, there's a big marathon in 4 days. It's the New York City Marathon. 50,000 runners, 26 miles, 5 different boroughs. How do you keep the entire route safe? Based on the events of yesterday, it's pretty near impossible, Harris.
Yeah, you know, it's a huge task at all times, and then you had so much going on late yesterday anyway. I mean, you were near several schools in that area, and it was Halloween. Many people's children were already celebrating Halloween during the daytime, so some in their costumes. I mean, this was a festive time, and you saw New York do what New York does, Bill, and that is pick up and go on as best it can. It was it permeated every conversation that I was near last night, I'm certain for you as well. But talk with me, if you can, about what the scene looks like when you do go on, because it's a hotbed of activity already down there.
Yeah, there's a park off to my shoulder here. There's a playground for a local school off my right over here. You can probably hear the kids on the playground now. Police officers moving back and forth along the road behind me. FBI agents just went toward the truck, which, by the way, Harris, still sits there at that intersection now 21 hours later. What I think is remarkable about the events of yesterday, we now have a specific timeline, and it goes like this. 2:06, the rental of the vehicle took place in Passaic, New Jersey. At 3:04, 58 minutes later, he entered that bike lane, which, as you know, on the west side of New York City has been built up to such an enormous degree over the past 10 years, parks and recreation areas. And on a beautiful sunny day, it's one of the places where you want to be in New York City. But if you're on that bike path and that rental truck is coming at you, there is very little room for escape, as we found out from the victims who are now being treated in local hospitals and those that have lost their lives as a result. Harris.
Yeah, you talk about it, and as you're saying that, Bill, we were able to put up the video, and you can see on either side there's a tree line. So there really isn't a whole lot of room for people to say, right as you were pointing it out, for them to move out of the way. And so we have seen this in other vehicular type attacks like this around the world, because this seems to be among the bloodthirsty Islamic State savages. This seems to be their new course of action now, how they'll attack us. There's simply no latitude for people to kind of jump out of the way. I am curious, before I let you go, just in terms of what the activity is right now with the scene and with police. I mean, you see them there, they're standing, but they are carrying out an active investigation. What are you able to glean?
I'd say we were here at 7 o'clock this morning. It was quite remarkable to me to see how much this neighborhood functions. I mean, there's families all over the place. There's a lot of corporate activity too, with folks coming to work for business in the morning. The subway was jammed, with the exception of the multiple media crews out here and the lights we have set up and the intersection that's now blocked off about 150 yards to my right. You pretty much know that, or think that the city was functioning and working the way it normally does. It's quite remarkable to think that the Halloween parade went off last night the way it did, with 100 spectators up and down 6th Avenue, and that's just to the north of here. And I made the comment earlier, Harris, I don't know how you feel about this, but for a city to function with a high level of normalcy only hours after an event like this, it puts us in a different mind frame, and it's almost, we enter that area where we start to think, well, this is to be expected, perhaps. I know a lot of people are not going to accept that answer here, but when you have a Uzbeki who has no police record, who likely had, so far as we know, a valid driver's license and had the ability to rent that truck, well, how do you get in front of that person? And the only way to really do it is to get inside the mind and the heart of that individual. And you can only do that if you're in the local mosque in Paterson or Passaic, New Jersey, where this crime originated. That's a really difficult task now for law enforcement going forward. And they say they learn from every incident, and we're going to learn something from this, certainly. But how we react and how we adapt and how we respond is truly key to what we are as New Yorkers and what we are as Americans, Harris.
Yeah, you've given us a lot to talk about. You mentioned the mosque situation. So many of these would-be attackers know that they're being watched very closely at those mosques. So now you have to kind of determine how much their actions are changing because they know they're being watched as well. Bill Hemmer, from the scene of the worst attack on New York City, terror attack since 9/11. Thank you very much. Well, investigators are taking that deep dive into the attacker's background. What will they be looking for? What links does he have or did have to terror organizations? Plus, just how valuable is all of that? And the fact that he's still alive, what you can work with. Let's bring in now former NYPD Detective Pat Brosnan. Pat, always good to see you and get your expertise even at tough times like today. Bill Hemmer just gave us a couple things I want to follow up on. He gave us a timeline. 2:06 Eastern Time, the rental of the vehicle in Passaic, New Jersey. 3:04, 58 minutes. In daytime traffic, I know because I travel in from Jersey to New York daily, and I'm sometimes going back at that time. He pretty much had to just make his way here. What are they looking for along that timeline?
Well, they're just seeking to cobble together, Harris, the breadcrumbs to establish a factual-based timeline for the entire event. But the reality is, and to your point and to Bill's point, we're going to learn a real lot from this because this is not just a unicorn. This is a unicorn on a rainbow. We have captured alive, thanks to the valiant efforts of police officer Ryan Nash, the perpetrator of the largest and the most deadly terror attack since the towers got hit on 9/11. This is huge, absolutely huge. We're going to be able to gather information and glean intelligence from him that is unprecedented. Spectacular job by the NYPD, and fantastic that this depraved coward is alive and sitting in a hospital room. And unlike the Tsarnaev brother up in Boston, wasn't shot in the throat. He's able to talk. That's a huge factor.
Yeah, and Judge Napolitano will be joining us this hour to talk about the now future timeline of what lies ahead for this suspect and how immediately that journey will start even while he's still in the hospital with, we're told, non-life-threatening injuries. You heard Bill Hemmer talking about what is really a crime scene, but people have gone back to their lives. How difficult is it to scoop up the information you need? And I see the tape, but let's face it, it's a city of north of 8 million people, including all the boroughs, and some of them are doing business and some of them are going to school in that very area.
Well, from an investigative perspective, Harris, what's really of great interest to the investigators is not so much establishing the timeline, which is relatively easy because there's cameras and there's fact-based breadcrumbs that they can cobble together to create a cogent timeline. What's of extreme interest to them and is extremely rare is the fact that they can gather from this guy, they can trade some stuff relative to his upcoming time in a Supermax, things like a view, things like food, things like that, and they can find out, are there other plots pending? Who, if anybody, was involved? Co-conspirators, influencers. Who influenced him? Big stuff. Very, very important from an investigative perspective.
The truck is still sitting at the intersection 21 hours and 6 minutes later, or 11 minutes later. What are they looking at in terms of the forensics of that crime scene right now?
Well, they want to sanitize that truck. They want to basically take a complete deep dive, as you mentioned earlier, on his background. They want to deep dive on that truck. They want to see if there are any other fingerprints, any other cellular scrapings, any other DNA that would establish who else was in that truck, perhaps with him, perhaps before him, and they might be able to tie together a co-conspirator angle. Maybe have to establish that he wasn't acting alone, because that's of extraordinary concern to the investigators.
Yeah,
so that truck will speak tales from where it's parked. It will tell tales, which is awesome. Forensic tales.
You talk about trying to prevent this, and everybody is saying, from law enforcement to, at the federal level to the state and local level, that you pretty much would have to have known personally this person to know what he would do. And they've even talked with people who knew him who say, no, you couldn't have seen this coming. What is your take on keeping an eye on certain people, and when does it encroach that part where it's just impossible?
So, great question. Here's the thing. My take is very simple. If you know someone, you see someone, you observe someone, and their behavior either radiates or suggests or manifests radical Islamic leanings, pick up the phone and make a notification. The authorities want to know that. So do not suffer from the deadliest of all the sins, which is really Islamophobia. Recognize that if you err on the side of caution, it's a good thing. Okay, because the police need this information, because otherwise a guy like this, he's not even a needle in a haystack. He's actually a needle in a pile of needles until such time as he goes overt, and then his actions and his statements become symptomatic of what we're looking to ascertain. Real problem. Needle in a pile of needles.
The words that stick, unicorn on a rainbow, you say, capturing this person alive and what they can glean from him. Pat Brosnan, formerly of the NYPD, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So this deadly New York City terror attack has reignited now the debate over immigration. The suspect was admitted to the United States on a diversity visa. President Trump says just a few minutes ago, he said this again during Outnumbered. We took him live from the cabinet meeting room. He said he's going to end that program. So is it putting our country at risk, that program? Judge Andrew Napolitano returns from the Outnumbered couch to talk to us about the diversity visa program and more. Plus, terror unleashed in the shadow of the World Trade Center. We've been talking about it, covering it. How should lawmakers respond? We'll talk directly with a New York City congressman who helps oversee the government's anti-terror policies. And one witness describes the horror that unfolded.
It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I hear all the noise. And when I go back and I look, I see, a truck a few more blocks down going down the bike path. And for some reason, I went that way. And when I went that way, I seen a couple of bodies laying right there in the bike path.
The Fed has added $10 trillion of debt since Greenspan's housing crash. Stocks are back at bubble levels. And since November, the dollar has sunk 10%. Are your hard-earned savings next? What do the experts predict?
It's going to be extraordinary. It'll be very rapid. It's going to create a lot of destruction.
We're in the final days of this third bubble, and this time the crash is going to be even more traumatic.
Do what rich people do when they anticipate a crisis. They buy gold and silver, not more stocks.
Call Lear Capital today to speak with a gold and silver specialist, and we'll send you our precious metals investor guides. See how easy it is to roll over a portion of your IRA or 401k into a gold and silver backed IRA. First-time callers receive this 1-gram gold-plated bar free. There's no obligation to purchase, and the information is free. Call 1-800-780-5300. That's 1-800-780-5300. Call now.
If you have moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's, and your symptoms have left you with the same view, it may be time for a different perspective. If other treatments haven't worked well enough, ask your doctor about Entyvio, the only biologic developed and approved just for UC and Crohn's. Entyvio works by focusing right in the GI tract to help control damaging inflammation, and is clinically proven to begin helping many patients achieve both symptom relief as well as remission. Infusion and serious allergic reactions can happen during or after treatment. Entyvio may increase risk of infection, which can be serious. While not reported with Entyvio, PML, a rare serious brain infection caused by a virus, may be possible. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, experience frequent infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Liver problems can occur with Entyvio. If your UC or Crohn's medication isn't working for you, ask your gastroenterologist about Entyvio. Entyvio, relief and remission within reach.
Hi, I'm Barry Sloan with NewTek, your business solutions company. Does your business need money? Whether you need $10,000 or $10 million, you can count on NewTek, the nation's largest non-bank government-guaranteed lender. NewTek can help your business expand and grow. With a simple phone interview, we can pre-qualify you in just 48 hours. And with rates as low as 6%, you can see why so many businesses turn to NewTek. To see how easy getting a loan can be, contact NewTek, your business solutions company, today.
The attack, the suspect, the motive, New York City terror. We're getting you updates and answers tonight in our powerful primetime lineup.
Hi, I'm Dana Lash from The Dana Show. If you could be more heart healthy just by drinking a glass of delicious superfood, would you do it? Of course you would. There's one superfood I drink every day for healthy circulation and to make me feel great all day long. It's called Super Beets, and you can try it for yourself risk-free. Beets contain a nutrient that increases your own natural energy. It supports healthy blood pressure, too. And Super Beets gives you the benefit of 3 whole beets. I take Super Beets as my pre-workout in the morning and as a non-jittery pick-me-up in the afternoon.
Give Super Beets a try for 2 weeks. 1 week, just 1 week, and you will see a difference, I promise.
Don't wait another day to start increasing your energy.
With your first order, get another 30-day supply of Super Beets free, plus a box of 10 convenient single-serving travel packs, and free shipping. Try Super Beets. You'll love it or your money back. Order your Super Beets today.
Call 1-800-319-7017 or visit trysuperbeets.com now.
Fox News Alert, new reaction now after the deadliest terror attack in New York City since 9/11. The suspect plowed his rental truck onto a busy bicycle path in Lower Manhattan yesterday. Killed 8 people, injured 12, some still in critical condition, hospitalized. Police say he acted in the name of ISIS. One witness described it this way.
I saw a guy who had 2 guns on his hand, and he was just running in the middle of the street. And then I heard 5-6 gunshots, and that time I was down because I didn't know which part the gunshots coming from. So I was scared. And there was 4 or 5 students more on the bridge. They're all scared. So when I again watched in the street, I saw the guy with the 2 guns. He was in the street.
The gunshots he heard were police taking that suspect down. He's hospitalized today, expected to survive. Let's bring in New York City Congressman Daniel Donovan Jr. He's the chairman of the subcommittee on the Homeland Security Committee that deals with emergency preparedness and response. We have talked about a lot of different things this week recently, mainly taxes and now terror. I saw you on social media last night getting the word out. What are you telling your citizens here that you represent and even wider here in New York?
Well, first of all, our prayers are with the families of the lost, the people who were perished yesterday and those who are still trying to recover from their injuries. We're asking people to be diligent. A lot of the information that we get, Harris, a lot of things that allow us to protect New York City and the rest of our nation is information that we get from individuals. They see something that they're uncomfortable with. As your prior guest said, please say something. Be overcautious. If there's nothing there, there's no harm. But some piece of information somebody might be able to give us might protect lives in America.
No, I was in Europe this summer, and they've had so many attacks. It's been just a bloodthirsty course that the terrorists have had there. And one of the differences that I wondered about when I saw this yesterday, having walked along and ridden my bike along that path, was, are we getting to the point where we have more metal pylons as they do in Europe? And it does impede your freedom, if you will, but is that something that's now at an emergency level being talked about?
It is, actually. Myself and another congressman from New York have dropped a bill that would allow New York City Police Department and other law enforcement entities to buy pylons out of a fund. As we saw what happened in Times Square when that individual drove his car through a pedestrian area. Pylons will protect and defend areas in which pedestrians and bikers like yesterday were using. So, yes, that's certainly a help, but being diligent and notifying law enforcement authorities about what you see has been a great aid to us throughout. This was the first real attack on New York City since September 11th of 2001. And Harris, New York remains the #1 terrorist target in the world. We can't be fooled by that. We are still the target of our enemies, and we have to do everything to protect our citizens.
You know, Congressman, a few weeks ago we got a heads up that the terrorists, particularly perhaps Al-Qaeda, the ISIS terrorists there, would want to hit our aviation. They would want to hit us in a new way, hit us in a continued way. We have nothing to suggest yet that this would be command and control, where ISIS said, go do this, and this person went and did it. But we talk about it in terms of being ISIS-inspired. Where are we in our journey along this, and how does that announcement play a role maybe in what we saw yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, we know from the evidence that was gathered by the law enforcement authorities that there was a pledge to ISIS in a note that was left in the truck. There was an ISIS flag. We know that Inspire magazine, something that people who are radicalized follow, ISIS leaders tell them how to attack individuals. We've done a real good job protecting our hard targets, the Empire State Building, the Capitol here in Washington. But it's these isolated attacks that we are now challenged to defend against. And using a vehicle, this is the 13th or 14th time in the Western Hemisphere where a vehicle was used in order to assault individuals. So these are more challenging times, but our law enforcement people do a wonderful job. New York City Police Department, the FBI, they mine the internet, look for chatter that will give us leads to people like this individual yesterday who attacked the citizens of our great city. And so we're doing a good job, but what we do in our committee is we ask those experts, those people on the ground, those people in charge of protecting us, what tools do you need to better protect the citizens of this nation? And that's how we determine what legislation to put forth so that we could be an aid to those people on the ground every day.
All right, so I took a note on the bill for pylons to purchase those. I'll be watching to see if that and when that moves forward. One last question for you, because you mentioned Inspire magazine and some of the ways that these bloodthirsty savages talk to each other about wanting to kill those of us here in the Western Hemisphere and beyond. One of the things they said that they would be considering a hard target would be our Thanksgiving parade. You, I think, are the only congressman in New York who lives in Manhattan. Correct me if I'm wrong. This falls in a jurisdiction, though, that's even wider for those of us who come from out of state to go to that parade. Are you looking at that any differently after yesterday?
I am actually a Staten Island resident, Harris, but I'm also the only Republican member of Congress from New York City. So, and yes, there'd be great protection. People should go to the parade. People should participate in the marathon this weekend. New York City Police Department and the FBI do a wonderful job. We have to continue to live our lives. We just have to be diligent in doing it. But the women and men of our law enforcement community do a great job in protecting us. We have to continue to live our lives. We can't let these folks defeat us. We will defeat them. And we'll defeat them by protecting our freedoms, which making them jealous of us.
All right. Congressman Donovan, thank you very much. Appreciate your time and your expertise.
Thank you.
Nearly 24 hours since the deadly truck rampage in Lower Manhattan, and authorities now say the suspect was planning his attack for weeks. Coming up, a live report from where it happened. And President Trump is talking immigration in the wake of the attack, but New York's governor says it's too soon to do what he calls politicize the incident, and is instead calling on New Yorkers to unite. Judge Andrew Napolitano is back from Outnumbered, our couch, to weigh in on that. Stay close.
That's what makes New Yorkers special. That strength, that resilience, that ability to be undeterred in the face of ugliness and the actions of a depraved coward, because that's what this was. This was the actions of a depraved coward.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need cash? You need to know about the New Day 100 Home Loan for Veterans. It lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, not just 80%. And that can mean a lot more money for you and your family. With our military service, veterans like us have earned a valuable VA benefit, the right to apply for a VA home loan. The New Day 100 VA loan lets you refinance your mortgages, consolidate your credit card debt, put cash in the bank, and lower your payments an average of $640 a month. And New Day will even pay your appraisal fee. That could save you up to $500 or more. So call New Day USA. They look at your whole financial picture, not just your credit score. And they'll do everything they possibly can to get you approved. Call them today and get the financial peace of mind every veteran deserves.
Go to newdayusa.com or call 1-844-809-1395.
I wanted to know who I am and where I came from. I did my Ancestry DNA and I couldn't wait to get my pie chart. The most shocking result was that I'm 26% Native American. I had no idea. Just to know this is what I'm made of, this is where my ancestors came from, and I absolutely want to know more about my Native American heritage. It's opened up a whole new world for me.
Discover the story only your DNA can tell. Order your kit now at AncestryDNA.com.
When you're looking for answers, it's good to have help, because the right information at the right time may make all the difference. At Humana, we know that's especially true when you're looking for a Medicare supplement insurance plan. That's why we're offering this fact-filled guide, 7 things every Medicare supplement should have. And it's yours free just for calling 1-888-309-7423. You see, Medicare covers only about 80% of your Part B medical expenses. The rest is up to you. That's why so many people purchase Medicare supplement insurance plans like those offered by Humana. They're designed to help you save money and pay some of the costs Medicare doesn't. Depending on the Medicare supplement plan you select, you could have no deductibles or copayments for doctor visits, hospital stays, emergency care, and more. You can keep the doctors you have now, ones you know and trust, with no referrals needed. Plus, you can get medical care anywhere in the country, even when you're traveling. With Humana, you get a competitive monthly premium and personalized service from a healthcare partner working to make healthcare simpler and easier for you. You can choose from a wide range of standardized plans. Each one is designed to work seamlessly with Medicare and help save you money. So how do you find the plan that's right for you, one that fits your needs and your budget? Call Humana now at 1-888-309-7423. That's 1-888-309-7423. For this free guide, it's just one of the ways that Humana is making healthcare simpler. And when you call, a knowledgeable licensed agent producer can answer any questions you have and help you choose the plan that's right for you. The call is free and there's no obligation. You know Medicare won't cover all your medical costs, so call now and see why a Medicare supplement plan from a company like Humana just might be the answer.
Hi, I'm Ty Young. What if there was an investment strategy where your money was completely protected against market losses? You would go up with the stock market, your gains lock in, and when the market goes down, you don't lose anything. Literally, you go up with your money, never down, forwards and never backwards. What if that investment strategy actually existed? Good news, it does. Get your investor's kit and I'll personally explain on the DVD how it works. You decide if it's right for you.
Get your investor's kit. Call 800-557-7379 or tyjyoung.net.
New details now coming in on the deadly terror attack here in New York City. Authorities now say the suspect was plotting his attack for weeks and that they recovered a note written in Arabic. The text roughly translates to, quote, Islamic State would endure forever. This is witnesses at the scene say what happened.
Car and a school bus collided, and people in the school bus got hurt. And so a guy got out of his car and challenged the guy. He was running around with a gun. And so police from Stuyvesant came out, and then people called the cops, and so they were coming in. And the guy fired a couple shots before, and then there's a shootout between the police and the guy.
Let's go now live to the scene in Lower Manhattan with David Lee Miller. David Lee?
Harris, just a short time ago, police described in detail more information about the suspect in this case, and they say that he followed the ISIS playbook to a T. The Deputy Commissioner for Intelligence and Counterterrorism, John Miller, says he seems to have followed the regimen prescribed. There's also a published report at this hour. Authorities are looking into the possibility that Sayfullo Saipov may have made a couple of dry runs. The last one possibly as recently as Saturday. He is now recovering from a gunshot wound in a New York City hospital. He has been interviewed by authorities, but they have not said what, if anything, he has disclosed. Authorities say that he flew, for the most part, under the radar when it came to law enforcement.
Mr. Saipov has never been the subject of an NYPD Intelligence Bureau investigation, nor has he been the subject of an FBI investigation, and we know that through our work with the JTTF and Bill Overnight. What we are looking for is how has he touched the subjects of other investigations? What is his connectivity to those people? He will have some connectivity to individuals who were the subjects of investigation, though he himself was not.
It's now been, Harris, nearly 24 hours since this rampage got underway. Authorities say they are now executing a number of search warrants. This now as the death toll stands at 8. 5 of those killed were from Argentina. There was 1 woman from Belgium and 2 Americans. We are told now that among the dozen injured, at least 1 person at this hour is still in critical condition. This as the investigation continues 23 plus hours after the rampage ended. Harris.
David Lee Miller, thank you very much. President Trump is calling on Congress to take action. As we learn, the suspect came to the United States through the Diversity Visa Program. It's a lottery that includes countries with low rates of immigration to come to the U.S. Here's the president just moments ago from the cabinet room.
I am today starting the process of terminating the Diversity Lottery Program. I'm going to ask Congress to immediately initiate work to get rid of this program. We want a merit-based program where people come into our country based on merit. And we want to get rid of chain migration. We're being stopped by Democrats because they're obstructionists. And honestly, they don't want to do what's right for our country.
The president blamed Senator Chuck Schumer for the diversity program, which was part of a bill he introduced nearly 30 years ago. Meanwhile, Schumer is hitting back, accusing the president of pitting Americans against each other.
I have always believed that immigration is good for America. I believe it today. President Trump, instead of politicizing and dividing America, which he always seems to do at times of national tragedy, should be bringing us together and focusing on the real solution.
Back from the outnumbered couch, Judge Andrew Napolitano, Fox News senior judicial analyst.
What a great assignment to be on the couch and with you afterwards.
Well, I'm grateful for you being here. Some things rang true. We'll get to the politics in just a second. Right. A dry run Saturday. You said, oh boy, we both got chills when we heard that first being reported. And now to hear more details come out against what my guest first part of this hour, Pat Brosnan, formerly of the NYPD, called the unicorn on a rainbow. Who's the suspect?
Well, Pat is very, very clever. He's also, in his choice of words, he's also very experienced and very competent. Pat, I believe, agrees with the arguments that you and I were making in the previous hour on the couch. The government does not focus its surveillance on suspicious people. It gathers information from everyone. If it focuses on suspicious people, just put his name in a computer. You'll see it pop up 3 or 4 times. As John Miller, the deputy commissioner in charge of intelligence for the NYPD, said, he's never been investigated, he's never been prosecuted, but he's closely associated with people who have. Add that to the dry run. Add that to the digital acquisition of information from ISIS about how to use a truck to kill people, and he could have been stopped. Reason he wasn't stopped? Information overload. The government gathers too much information from too many innocent people and doesn't have the time to sift through the bad.
Real quickly, the suspect, Miranda rights, yes, maybe lawyered up at this point, but if they want to go on, what has to happen?
He'll get a lawyer immediately as soon as he asks for one. The government cannot speak to him unless he is in physical condition intelligently to waive a lawyer. But the most important step will be who's going to try him. The state of New York, which means the Cy Vance and the prosecutors downtown, or the federal government, where he's more likely to face the certainty of conviction and the more severe penalty.
All right, let's move on to the politics. Never thought that we probably would talk about it this soon, but it came up almost immediately. We can talk about how and when. The mayor of New York, Bill de Blasio, said at a news conference that we took just a short time ago that this was a plot that was failed. Those are unfortunate words because, I mean, social media just lit up.
Yeah, I think it's an unfortunate choice of words. I think what the mayor meant was it failed to break the spirit of the city of New York. Or I think maybe he meant this guy intended to kill hundreds, and because he crashed into a school bus with children on it who were slightly injured, it stopped him from the rampage he had started.
The bigger umbrella, though, is Chuck Schumer and the President of the United States in politics.
You can't blame Chuck Schumer for this. This was a statute that was passed overwhelmingly with support from both parties in both houses of Congress and signed by a Republican president, and it worked. And we're talking about 9 years before 9/11. It was a different world when they passed this statute.
All right, let's talk about something that is breaking news right now. They have just released, the CIA, to the public nearly 470,000 additional files recovered in May 2011 in the raid on Osama bin Laden's compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan. The significance.
I have not read all 470,000 documents.
I did not think you would, because this just happened like 40 minutes ago.
I tried. You asked me to do it as soon as the other show was over. Kidding. These documents concern the finances, how they got their finances, and, very important, the disputes within the organization that the CIA was able to exploit.
Yeah, it's interesting, too. Osama bin Laden's personal journal and more than 18,000 document files. You and I were reading through this together.
Right. Obviously, there's nothing there that's going to compromise sources. There's nothing in there that's going to compromise national security, or the CIA wouldn't be releasing it. This is obviously going to reinforce the ideas about Osama bin Laden and his organization that we have already been told by the government, or they wouldn't be releasing these documents.
Some home videos of him, apparently Al-Qaeda home videos, that sort of thing, but you say nothing to compromise. We'll bring you back once we have read at least 400,000
Do I have to do this reading this afternoon?
You know what? You read faster than anybody I know. You're my hero.
Pleasure to be here.
Judge Knaps, thanks.
Thank you.
New details on the accused terrorist in the deadly New York City truck attack. His links to at least 3 other states, what we're learning now. And this is the 9th ISIS-inspired or directed attack using a vehicle since July of last year. So could these kinds of attacks be the new normal? And is it possible to protect soft targets? A Homeland Security expert joins me next.
The first thing I saw was a man laying on the ground, face down in the middle of the street. He was surrounded by police officers. It appeared that he was injured. And right next to him was a man who was being arrested. He wasn't putting up a fight. He was on his knees, hands behind his head.
When our country used to flex its muscle with battleships like the USS Iowa, the world would listen. It's time we return to the America I remember. Hi, I'm William Devane. There are dangerous forces everywhere pulling our country apart, threatening our economy and our way of life. That's why I'm going to do 2 things: support our military and buy gold from Rosalind Capital. I've never felt safe relying on paper money to protect my assets. That's why I buy gold from Rosalind. With Rosalind, what you order is what you get. No gimmicks, no nonsense, no hassle. We're all safer with our ships patrolling the seas. And my assets are a whole lot safer with gold from Rosalind Capital. So ask yourself, are you safe?
Call now and get a free gold kit, silver kit, and IRA kit. And while supplies last, first-time callers get a free Mercury dime. Call 800-630-8900. 800-630-8900.
Introducing the brand new South Beach Diet. I'm Jesse James Decker, and if y'all want to know how I stay in shape, I do it with the South Beach Diet.
Lose up to 9 pounds and 3 inches overall in your first 2 weeks. Order your 28-day plan today with fully prepared meals delivered to your door. Breakfast, lunches, dinners, even snacks. Lose weight and get in the best shape of your life. It's safe and healthy weight loss, easy to follow, and it works.
I've lost 20 pounds on the South Beach Diet.
South Beach is a low-carb, low-sugar, high-protein program that burns fat and transforms your metabolism.
I lost 24 pounds on the South Beach Diet.
Order your 28-day plan right now and receive a week of our all-new South Beach Complete Shakes free. They're packed with 20 grams of protein, low sugar, an excellent source of probiotics, vitamins, and they taste great. Call or go online in the next 2 minutes and we'll even throw in free FedEx shipping. Lose up to 9 pounds and 3 inches overall in your first 2 weeks.
Trust me, the South Beach Diet works. Call or click right now.
Call or visit southbeachdiet.com and get 1 week of shakes free.
Wayfair, you got just what I need. It's the feeling of done and done. It's so much fun. Easy as a click, and done comes quick. It can even look crazy. That's fun and done, baby. Get a deal done, or fancy looks fun. Just kick back, relax. With Wayfair, you're done. You know the feeling, yeah, that's the one. It's the feeling of done and done. It's so much.
Bring home the feeling at Wayfair.com.
To everyone else, I look like everyone else. But on the inside, I feel chronic, widespread pain. Fibromyalgia may be invisible to others, but my pain is real.
Fibromyalgia is thought to be caused by overactive nerves. Lyrica is believed to calm these nerves.
I'm glad my doctor prescribed Lyrica.
For some, Lyrica delivers effective relief for moderate to even severe fibromyalgia pain and improves function. Lyrica may cause serious allergic reactions, suicidal thoughts, or actions. Tell your doctor right away if you have these, new or worse depression, unusual changes in mood or behavior, swelling, trouble breathing, rash, hives, blisters, muscle pain with fever, tired feeling, or blurry vision. Common side effects: dizziness, sleepiness, weight gain, swelling of hands, legs, and feet. Don't drink alcohol while taking Lyrica. Don't drive or use machinery until you know how Lyrica affects you. Those who've had a drug or alcohol problem may be more likely to misuse Lyrica.
With less pain, I can do more with my family.
Talk to your doctor today. See if Lyrica can help.
Hey, hon. We gotta go. Come on.
Thanks, Mom. Principal, we can help you plan for that.
FBI agents are converging on an apartment building in Paterson, New Jersey. It was the home to the suspect in yesterday's deadly truck attack in Lower Manhattan. The search for clues, of course, continuing as we learn more about the man police say mowed people down, innocent people, on Halloween Day. Laura Ingle is live there. Laura?
Hi, Harris. Well, we've been watching investigators go in and out of apartment number 9 all morning long, and I want to give you some perspective and show you what we're talking about. That red brick building just behind me, you can see some of the media trucks there. This is where investigators say Saipov reportedly lived with his wife and 2 children. Actually, we're hearing now he may have 3 children, but we're working to confirm that. And about 2 hours ago, we saw FBI agents come out of the unit with a large black garbage bag, presumably containing evidence from his apartment, and take it away in an SUV. Investigators descended upon the area around 2 a.m. They came in a convoy and they began gathering evidence both inside the unit and around the apartment, which quite literally butts up against the back of the Omar Mosque, which he reportedly attended. Now, locals say that they saw Saipov frequently talk with people on the street corner here between his apartment and the mosque, but no one really knew him all that well because he had only moved into the area a few months ago. Now, while there have been some reports that he frequently prayed at this mosque, some mosque members that we've been talking to today say they had not seen him before at all, and their community has come together to kind of compare notes and to see who knew him at any time. The one thing that they can say everyone can agree on is that this act does not represent their ideals.
From the people I've spoken to, we're all horrified. It's not something, I mean, when you wake up in the morning and you look at the news and you say, hey, that's my mosque, you know, that's a place that I'm very familiar with. It's heart-wrenching, really.
And while the federal investigators have left the scene for now, we do see local and state investigators here as well and keeping the scene kind of contained for the moment. Harris, back to you.
Laura, thank you very much. New questions about the spread of the ISIS and the techniques used in this. The terror group has been using all along. Authorities say the attacker who plowed his rental truck in a New York City street yesterday and killed 8 people followed the ISIS playbook to a T and was radicalized right here in our country. The rampage in New York would be the 9th ISIS-related vehicular attack worldwide in the past 18 months, along with Barcelona, Paris, London, Stockholm, Berlin, here in the United States at Ohio University, State University, and in the French city of Nice. Michael Balboni is a former Homeland Security advisor for New York State. Good to have you here. All right, let's start off right where we were there, because you said, look, let's talk about the fact that he would have gone to a mosque. We don't know, though, if that's where he was radicalized, because the mosques now know, these imams know they're being watched.
So after the days after 9/11, there was a real concern about what activities were happening in and around the city of New York, and there was a concerted effort to try to find out information. Matter of fact, there was lawsuits later on about the surveillance techniques on these mosques. But what we found later on was, when we looked back on these programs, was that the bad guys knew that the mosque was being targeted. And therefore, the last thing that they were going to do, if they had any tradecraft, was going to go in that mosque and stand up and say things, or be a part of that, create a cell there, because it's a finite location and you're going to be surveilled. So we don't know that that would happen, and that would be counter to what common sense would tell us.
All right. Does it make this person or anybody more dangerous when they spend more time plotting and planning? Because we're hearing that there was a dry run on Saturday. Right. He's out in the open then.
Right. So every time, so pre-operational surveillance is the term of art for people who want to go case the joint, as it were, and find out what their target is. And so that indicates that this person was very serious for a period of time, which goes to whether or not this was more organized than it appeared to be, just wasn't some kind of random emotional act. Mm-hmm. But secondly, it also gives security officials the ability now to go back and take a look at cameras and take a look at what his timeline is. In Lower Manhattan, the Lower Manhattan Security Initiative, a web of cameras and license plate readers where you can track people's movement back and forth. So I'm very confident that security officials are going to be able to track exactly where he went, how he went. And then the question is, well, who was he talking to during that time?
Interesting. Okay. The president today brought up Gitmo. He was asked at the very end of